We're getting back after it. Hello, adventurers, and welcome to another Zulu's RPG stream. I am Rob, one of the dungeon masters at Zulu's Board Game Cafe. I am joined, as always, well, most of the time, by this big guy here, which is awesome. But no, specifically Alex, and then below me is, of course, Jason. How you guys doing today so far?
Doing all right.
We're in the midst of doing a is this the winter break? I think this one's called?
Break or mid-winter.
Yeah.
It's a midwinter, mid-break. We're all snowed in sort of deal kind of break.
Yeah. So we're doing some one-shots. We're kind of taking a break from our normally scheduled programs for most of the sessions, and we're sort of diving into some one-shots. So we'll be discussing that a lot more next week. It's I think a little bit more sort of puzzle heavy than we've done in the past. So it'll be fun to kind of dive into that, and yeah, I'm excited for it. But for now, what we're going to go ahead and do is go ahead and continue along with our improvising a story. Essentially, we're going to give Jason this time a random topic, and he's going to try and create sort of off the top of his head an adventure. We're not going to be playing through it necessarily. We're going to be sort of, kind of going through the story and as it develops, giving Jason the opportunity to react to us throwing monkey wrenches into their plans. For instance, last week, Alex gave us a delightful story with a flower that could summon a fey. A fairy.
Giant fey creature that was terrifying.
Yes. But we decided that we were going to use it to take a town hostage or play the town against the elves. The details were sort of vague.
You guys could have totally done whatever. Just this crazy, scary creature would have showed up. This one right there. So just watch out. Make sure that you are feeding it properly, feeding it well. However,
that's very much a problem for the town to worry about, not our characters.
Oh, exactly. However, maybe you could possibly find some other food source. Maybe this thing has only tasted flesh, or maybe you could give it some like peanut butter mushroom soup.
Again, you're assuming that our characters are far more morally fibrous than they in fact are. Both of our characters a little bit more on the chaotic neutral spectrum.
Chaotic selfish.
Chaotic selfish. That's actually a great way of thinking of it.
Yeah.
However, let's for this particular one, I'm going to go ahead and because Alex, your character is significantly more righteous. I will be adapting my character just a little bit, assuming that we've been playing together for a little bit. I'm not going to have a character that's antithesis to your own, mostly because that would make Jason's life very difficult, and the whole experience relatively unpleasant for everyone.
Yeah, there would be a little selfish side of me that would think that my righteousness, my wanting to do good, my helping of others has affected you as well.
If you can't guess, Alex is playing a paladin.
I'll still be playing Eldon. I will still be using Eldon as my sort of way into this particular thing. And I do think that we should definitely figure out when and how we're going to do a stream. I think we might end up doing, and we're just going to talk about this right now since I have you here. What we could do is just take a weekend to just record several hours of us playing. I can then go through and do a little cutting, break it up into episodes, and we can throw it on the internet that way. So that's an option. Or we can do it live in front of the audience. The other thing that I think would be a lot of fun is to, if once we do this, we can actually talk about some of the rules and things that we used in the sessions, which I think could be a lot of fun. So look out for that. I know we've been talking about this literally since we began, but trust me, there is a lot of logistics that go into the things that we do. As much as it looks like we just sort of do things as they come to us, we do sometimes plan things. I am noticing, the green that is your thing. So
it's space.
Jason, are you ready for your prompt?
Yeah. Do you want me to roll? And what am I
Yes.
rolling?
We're again using my favorite book, The Table Fables. Go ahead and give us a percentile, and I'll give you some options.
49.
49. Where is... Yep, we're in quests. 49. Oh my goodness, we got a big long one, so this should be interesting. After a young witch is hanged, starting dark, the town begins to suffer incredible bad luck. The townsfolk believe that with her last breath, the witch laid a curse over the town. So that's 49. We're going to give you the one above. 48. A local and rather paranoid official is afraid he will... I think they're supposed to be a B. He will be poisoned by at an upcoming party. And then, of course, 50, the players are captured and forced into service in the king's army. I think we may have gotten this one before, but that one is definitely an option. So, Jason, of those three, which call to you? Which one seems like a fun sort of story to unravel?
Either the hanged witch or the paranoid official.
Okay.
Paranoid officials a slightly different direction than usually kind of go, at least, standard D&D thing. But what I'm thinking is, we've got a paladin and a druid there, which are two ways of approaching being poisoned, can kind of protect you. The way I think I would set it, I have kind of an NPC that would be interesting to join in this one. But so this paranoid official, he is in fact a duke of a very small town, but he is related to some very, very influential high ups in the kingdom. So while he himself doesn't wield that much power, he is the cousin of some people where you get in really good. So the money isn't good, but the perks will get you in with some great people. But that's not what's important because you've got a paladin there. But anyway, so you would be approached.
I'm looking forward to the new power.
Yes, being approached because he has. Well, you don't know why, but he thinks that someone's out to kill him. He does not know who, and he is. You're being hired not by the cousin. The cousin's kind of an idiot. I don't have a name. His name is Fergus. And so Fergus, this Duke Fergus is not so smart, but his cousin is the one that is hiring you to try and get him online. So you to find out who he thinks is after him, and also what could possibly, what you could do to solve this problem, and at least stop him from being paranoid because he's making reckless decisions.
Yeah.
The payment will be just straight money or goods, or just good deeds for your god, if you don't want to take money.
Will of the people, making sure everyone's happy.
Yeah. So I would like to say that you're approached by some officials from a larger town. We'll just say it's from a pretty large town, and this is not a direct, not directly from the king, but from an emissary for the king. And so yes, you are approached. Whatever. Let's say you're out traveling or hanging. Maybe you're
just arrived at the town.
Just arrived at a town, and so you get approached by some very well-off, rich-looking people. They're obviously noble, and you are implored to do this. And of course, okay.
I was just going to say, I love the fact that, because my first thought was, well, what if we just say no? But you, as a good DM, know that if you play off your paladin's righteous duty and justice, you can't say no. So I'll, of course, be drug along through the way. So your hook is baited in such a way that it is irresistible. So sorry, please continue.
But I would allow you to negotiate your terms.
Yeah. To be sure.
So, and because you two are being selected out because a paladin can cure wounds and the like, which would help.
Real awkward if I didn't have
lay on hands also can remove poison, can't it?
Remove poison, yes. But if it's and most you would be able to identify poisons, and so they want you to go because you're more likely to get in with him because he is paranoid. You can actually serve his paranoia. He was more likely to let you near him. He's not letting any of the nobles that are attached to the king because he does not know who is after him, or at least he's not admitting to who's after him. So he wants you to get in, find out who he thinks, whether if there is anyone, and you will be given one of the I forget the name of the origami birds as messengers that you can fold up and throw.
Oh yeah, paper crane.
Paper crane, yes. I think it's a paper crane. It's out
I
of
think
water.
that's from yes. I love. Well, it's actually honestly one of my favorite ones because sending is always a much more expensive spell, whereas the paper cranes are just like you send a letter and it flies off.
Yeah. So you're each given 2 copies of the papers that will fold, and you can write the message down. So you will be able to be in communication, but they're not going to directly come and meet you because he's too paranoid. They don't want to trigger him. So you can.
And he's afraid of being poisoned at a specific event.
So I can't remember. Did that say that in the?
Yeah, I believe it was at an upcoming party. And obviously, since you're the DM, you have the power to decide what you're going to do with it. Specifically, a local and rather paranoid official is afraid he will be poisoned at an upcoming party.
All right, so yes. So in order to, they want you to find out who he thinks it is, and if so, stop the person. Otherwise, just report that he's insane. It's coming up in 3 weeks' time. But you will join.
So you have a lot of time.
Yes, you have a lot of time. But you're going to join his retinue. And like I said, this guy is the black sheep of the family because of his lack of better judgment. You'll be given a stipend, so you can buy good clothes or whatever you want to do with that, just to help you on your way. If you need new barding for your horse or whatever, you're given a good 50 gold pieces to help out with your gear and such. But you will be given a place to stay. Your in is that you have ability to help him with that poison paranoia. All right.
I imagine despite being cleaned and sort of readied for this thing, Eldon always has a slight musty smell to him.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of an athlete's foot kind of thing going on all over.
Yeah, where you're just like, did someone leave? Who is moist right now?
Once again, circle of spores, so you are...
Oh yeah, for those of you who don't know, my Duragar is a Circle of Spores dwarf. He cleans up okay, but otherwise is a little grubby.
Yeah, I'm sure if you kind of brush your beard, spores fly out.
Don't touch the dwarf. It'll he's always moist.
And Alex, did you want to introduce your character any more than you have?
Well, my name is Vincent Warcrest, and I am the protector of the people. Anyone in need is someone I will go and help out. I will be throwing myself into danger just so I can protect the people.
Yeah. and again, I don't mean to overemphasize this, but I really do think that as a DM, understanding the characters that your players are playing and knowing how they'll interact with the different things you do is a really great sort of starting point for creating these stories. So.
Yeah. And
I also forget to mention.
As I'm approaching this, looking at this, I know the characters. We've got a paladin, we've got a spores druid. It's kind of a weird combo, anyways, but. I also know that neither of you are particularly good social characters, so that's why this one was appealing to me, because it's put in the wrong environment for your characters, which leads to an interesting conflict.
Yeah.
My character is particularly dumb.
Yeah. It's going to force us to get more creative with our abilities.
Yeah. And so, basically, you guys would travel to this town. You could do whatever you wanted with the money. On the way, you could just blow it, throw it in a corner. I don't care. But as you get to this town, it is a rundown crap hole. So it is obviously the people are pretty well taxed. You notice that everybody is paranoid. They all seem to be kind of watching each other, and they're very much watching the two of you show up. They're not. The people don't seem very rich. Like I said, they are very, very overtaxed. But they are watching you because you guys are well dressed and looking good, coming into a very poor town.
I was about to say, wouldn't I be wearing the knight in shining armor sort of deal? Have the wealthiest looking armor, a billowing cape, maybe a cape of billowing, if my DM were to let me find one.
One of my favorite items. That and the one the cape that can turn into basically anything, like flowers or whatever. So I think my first curiosity would be, seeing that the people are sort of very paranoid, especially of cleaner folks, and looking at a place, I mentioned Eldon would almost immediately decide to go the sort of grubby route. Guessing that this guy is probably going to look down on anyone who is sort of dirty and downtrodden, whereas the people might connect with them better. So I would probably immediately, seeing this, go find a hovel or a wallow rather, sort of take my clean clothes off, wiggle in the dirt a little bit, put on my normal sort of druid garbs, and then mention to the knight that I would be presenting myself as your, not squire, assistant essentially, and yeah.
All right.
Also,
you do irritate some of the people by rolling in some of their best pig feces, but yes. So you guys, you can see that there is a castle on the hill. It's in disrepair, but it is a little bit farther from the town. Obviously, looks down over this small town, and I didn't remember the name of it, so we're gonna just call it Fergus Falls. All right. So Fergus Falls, named after the Duke Fergus, is like I said, it's tiny. There's a little river that goes through the town itself. Right.
Is there actually a fall?
There is, but it's a very small one.
Okay. Is there a cave underneath the falls?
You don't know. You haven't gone to the cave, the falls yet, but if you go and check that out, that's possible. But you also notice that the vast majority of the folks living here are gnomish. So falls to a gnome are very different than falls to even a dwarf. Yeah. It doesn't have to be a super big fall. But looking around, like there are also humans. It's mainly halflings and gnomes are the
interesting
predominant. And
were the people that hired us, were they?
They're human.
Okay.
They're human. So
that's why they're fishy.
You're gonna pretty much gather that there's more than likely Fergus is human.
Okay.
Yeah. You probably didn't even think to ask because they're human and noble. No.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose then well, part of me is very curious to wander around the town and ask around. I imagine we'll have plenty of time to do that in the 3 weeks, and knowing more about this guy will make our questions much easier. So my suggestion would be to first things first, head over to chat with Fergus. Now, he doesn't know that we're coming, or he does know that we're coming?
He's basically kind of put the feelers out that he's looking for someone to protect him and find this person, but it's not an obvious like invite. It's because he's paranoid, and so it's in secret code and left everywhere. But it's apparent rambling. This guy might be a little on the a little on the schizophrenic side. So be aware of that, or something like that. He's like I said, it could be magically afflicted. He could be moon touched. So yes, as you head towards this castle, it is better as you get closer. It is nice. It's in disrepair, but it's well kept, which is odd because, like I said, this place is obviously pretty taxed. And as you get up, you do see like what look to be guards. They are human. The main guards are human, and they ask your business. Their armor is very nice though. Extremely so.
I would love to compliment them on their armor because I being a paladin and being a knight myself, I would definitely appreciate a beautiful set of armor.
They're just, it's just a badge of office, sir. I assume you two are, your armor is a badge of your office?
Why, yes, of course. It is the office of travel. It's wonderful. My office is as wide as the world itself.
Okay. What's your business? As they kind of eyeing you and your servant.
Obviously, a mercenary of sorts. I'm hired for a gig if anyone needs any sort of protection at all whatsoever.
And they're like, you see one kind of talk to the other and go tell the Baron. His requests have been answered, and they ask for your name, and they're gonna run that stuff back. You notice they don't really notice you, Eldon, just in that like kind of overlooking you. They saw that you're a servant, but you're just a servant, so you managed to blend in, which is probably good. And as you're kind of hanging out there waiting, There's like you do notice that there is a number of the townsfolk are kind of gathering farther down the way, just kind of watching because you are unusual. Of this well-dressed paladin coming into town, and so they're kind of seeing what's going on. This town doesn't seem to get many travelers.
I'd definitely be
so you will
smiling. I would definitely be smiling the entire time, but just have the dumbest smile possible. I'm just assuming that I would not be able to pick up on anything and just be like, ah, ha ha.
Also, Jason, if your intention is to breed paranoia, you are successful. I am immediately assuming that something more sinister is happening here. And I'm assuming that this whole thing ends with the castle burning to the ground as we lead a revolution. But I don't know if that's just what I've been, like, this character just does. Is just like,
burn the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Might be
and
establishment.
take the money that's left over in the ashes.
Exactly.
So, anyways, I'm going to kind of jump forward a little bit so you
Yeah.
guys get invited in. You meet the way I see it is that I'm going to have this Baron Fergus. You meet him, and he is a half-orc. So he's a little unusual. He also has one eye much larger than the other. He is guilty of this family has done a lot of inbreeding. One tooth larger. He's kind of asymmetrical, but on either side. And he is rock stupid. Yeah. Well, no, like that kind of, just kind of. He tries to communicate his ideas, but he's not really good at it.
Okay.
But he does have an advisor that is helping translate. And
suspicion continues.
Yes. So this advisor is basically explaining that he has good days and bad days, and that suddenly letting out a loud like "Everybody do!" The guy, the Baron Fergus, he seems to be trying to communicate something to you, and he's better at night. All right, and so. And he gladly hires you since you are a paladin. You carry the badge of office, and his assistant, and he kind of looks you over, and the advisor / translator for him.
What manner of thing is the assistant?
The assistant is human.
Okay.
Human. You're not sure what class or anything because he doesn't cast any spells. Yeah. In fact. It's all pretty mundane. It's more Game of Thrones than D&D typically. It's more run down and there's just torches and stuff. It seems like there's hardly any magic in this town. In fact, you'd notice looking around. There's not this. There's definitely not high magic. This is a backwater town.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I would imagine that one of the first things I'd try to do is a surreptitious cast of the good old-fashioned detect magic to see what kind of magics we're getting in the old spectrum.
All right. So, looking around, you do see that the guards seem to have certain magical items. Not all of the same thing, but several of them do have a magical dagger or that kind of thing. But outside of that, the Bodhi, his crown is magical. It actually gives off a bit of abjuration magic or protection magic.
Makes kind of sense.
And
it's not enchantment or transmutation, which I think would have been my first guess.
But you also notice I would have I like bending with detect magic and have you make an Arcana roll or a nature roll or whatever, and you would see if you made the roll. I'm just gonna give it to you that you made it. That there is also a bit of enchantment under that abjuration.
All right, so, my suspicion continues to grow.
Yes. Anyhow,
I don't think though. I would probably, if given an opportunity, would pass this information along to our good friend the Paladin. Although what I think would be very interesting is as my paranoia is very high, I would trying to make sure I could find a place to tell him the things that I've discovered without letting anyone know that I've discovered them would probably be something I'd try to do. So
you guys will be given a room since you're staying for 3 weeks at least. They hope to hire you on for longer, but it's and you're going to meet for dinner that night. There's going to be a feast in your honor because you're the new hires. However, Fergus definitely looks down on that. He's not going to be eating because he is not going to be eating. He does want you to try and keep an eye out for him. Once again, they don't know you're a druid, Eldon, so they just know that you're assistant. So
I'll be like patting him on the head, but then also if you're just constantly moist, I think I'd just like wipe it off on like my pants or something. Just be like, ha ha.
It's kind of strangely spongy. Anyhow, the other thing is, so in this, if we're doing like a longer adventure, I would start including some NPCs to give suspicion, like who could be if there is a poisoner, is it already on the staff? The cook, the captain of the guard, and so on. I'm going to kind of like, I'm just going to give you the outline of my adventure, I think, at this point. I'll kind of maybe stop at certain key points to let you interact with it, and maybe you can also throw in, if I'm saying something, how you would throw a wrench into it. Yeah. So basically, the idea is I'd set up all these NPCs. Several of them. I would obviously flesh this out more, to figure out, because with a mystery, I'm going to try and throw some. But it's going to turn out that it is an external force that will be. That will cause certain individuals to kind of go nuts and attack at you guys. You will all be attacked by seemingly possessed people. They will in fact be poisoned, and it will be a natural poison.
That actually would be the next thing. I would definitely, I don't know if I necessarily would have detect poison on me, and I don't know if the paladin would, but I would be extremely suspicious of all of the meals. That would probably be the first thing
I would imagine that you get to change that at long rest. So probably before you even got there, since this is a poisoning thing, you might have traded that out.
Make sure. Oh yeah, and druids have the ability to pick. Yeah, they have a bigger list. So yeah, I guess the first question would be: would there be poison in the first meal? Would you hit us with it that early, or would you save it?
Water. And it will be left by the bedside tables, much like an intellect devourer, but it won't hatch out of them exactly. It will. It's a vine that will come erupting out of them and attack after they try and kill you, and they'll try and kill you in your sleep.
Ooh.
Yes.
Now, okay. So speaking of monkey wrenches, so let's say we drank the water and we went to sleep without a watch. Would you at that point attack and kill us, or what kind of safety measures would you do in case we were just absolute idiots?
Yeah, so it's a default thing, and the servants are all going to be gnomes. So I would be using twig blights for what hatches out of them. So you would it's not really a high level fight, but they're going to get advantage at first, possibly do quite a bit. There's a possibility. I would probably give you guys, these are not stealthy, these are just servants, and they're only using the best of their abilities, within the twig blights will erupt out of them.
So it'd be more like as we're sleeping, we're awoken by someone coming into our room kind of thing?
Yes. Because the first thing you're going to be trying to do is rummage through your stuff, which you probably will assume. Trying to see who sent you, because that kind of thing. And so that will also put suspicion on Fergus and his advisor. He said he's paranoid. And then the vine thing will actually lead directly into it being more druidic in nature. It's not, or something that's plant-based. So you give you more of a reason to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, so the poison for the paladin, but the druidy stuff for the druid.
Yes. And the other thing that I would want to do is, if you guys decide to go stealthy and sneak around, you could go into Fergus's room and find the threatening letter that was given to him, which is written in Druidic.
Oh. So, which I imagine he can absolutely not read.
Not read. He has no idea, but he can't read anyways, so it doesn't surprise me. Because the threatening letter is not threatening at all. It's just a warning, which is basically just that. So effectively, this would keep going. If you got the letter, the letter itself is going to say something to the effect of, like I said, I have an idea of where it would go, but the letter I would figure out a little bit more. But it being something to the effect of that his evil, that they know that he is attempting to take over more area, and he doesn't belong there. This will lead you to the falls eventually.
I'm
Which
gonna
is
be
a
honest.
tiny-
I would have gone. So now here, okay. So again, monkey wrenches in the thing. So
Yep.
say if we had our before we had our dinner, if I was like, I want to go check the falls out, would you have
would've-
allowed us to go straight to the falls, or would there what would have happened?
You wouldn't necessarily want to go there without like being prepared, but the falls, the tie to the falls is actually not at the falls. It's actually farther down river, but it is
Okay.
something poisoning the well effectively.
Yeah.
The well, it's in the water.
It's in the well.
So you would get a hint, but it wouldn't be. The thing that you find there is that there's flowers blooming there that are very unusual. Some form of nightshade, which is poisonous, and so you would, and then in this regard, which I'd imagine, I don't know how smart. I know that the paladin isn't super smart, but I would imagine you might have history. If you don't, then this would.
Yeah.
Let me double check if I've got. Oh, I do
Yeah,
have some history. I got the history bonus of my I'm proficient with it.
Yeah, you're proficient.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a possibility you might know that there was a elven assassin that was commonly known for leaving Nightshade. Other than that, you don't know much depending on the role. If you roll really well, I would reveal the name. The person went by Nightshade. She did. In fact, an even better role would be that it was a druid assassin.
Ooh. Oh man.
Can't trust.
Oh, Druid Assassin would be awesome as far as like a.
Screwing up your poisons, man.
Well, poisons and the wild shape. No one expects the cat. The cat's just a cat.
That's
And then they're in the room. And
So
stab.
that's the trick. It is an animal in the house.
Oh.
That's clever.
I
You know
like
what's
it.
funny is that would have taken me a very long time to figure out. Because despite the fact it's druidic, like I don't think, because my assumption is like Fae know druidic, right? Which I don't think they do. I think they know a different language.
No, they know Sylvan, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fun. And
Well-
I really, I was gonna say that this would be a lot of fun just trying to meet all the people and trying to suss out who it is. And the whole time it was a cat.
Yeah,
It's also
and there would
pretty-
be another like subplot because you obviously need like in a mystery you have red herrings and obviously you have
Oh,
the
yeah.
guards who are being paid well by the advisor, but it's purely so they don't rebel up and take them out. He gains the little bit of power he has
Yeah.
by working for Fergus, and Fergus is being magically affected by another politician from another town. That's the thing. It makes him stupider, but at night he is slightly smarter. So if you do go and talk to him at night, you can actually get information out of him.
Well, and you totally would have thrown us off about the whole druid assassin because of the sheer fact we're in a not that magical of town. Like,
Yeah.
I would not have been thinking any sort of magic at all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that's a really fun way to kind of to lead your players to a specific conclusion is to it's like this place is bereft of magic almost entirely. But you did definitely build with just even that beginning sort of opening, there was a lot of paranoia built into it. So I was very much just like, who's going to betray me? Which one of these? And I like the fact that the paranoia was also like, and like I was kind of experiencing it too.
So, well, and then like for me, I'm like sure it's great that you do have paranoia, but I think that my character would be too dumb to actually pick up on anything.
Yeah.
I believe that there's too many fairies and like small magical creatures to be able to help save the world. I would not expect the assassin cat at all whatsoever. I would just, if I saw the cat, I would probably just assume, whoa, kitty, and I'd probably go and pet the cat a whole bunch. Yeah, so if
The other thing I would do, just to throw it out there, because I was thinking this, is if you have it be the cat, I was actually thinking a dog, but a cat is better. You have like one of the NPCs, like the cook, go to kick the crap out of the cat because it keeps coming in the kitchen. You're going to want to defend the cat.
heck yeah, I would totally
But the
define
cat might
my
be trying
cat.
to put the poison in.
Oh.
I see that he's being a cat.
So you can have the comical moment of like, don't you deal with this cat. You know?
Oh man.
And
And
also
that's
the funness, the fun of having the meal with these two characters. You both of you having a stately, poor dinner, but trying to eat with the right forks.
Yeah. Yeah, I do imagine to be a lot of poor etiquette, which is why ultimately I was just like, well, I'm just going to pretend to be a servant, so I don't have to have any real standards.
No,
And actually,
that
I would probably try to use that to talk to people using the whole sort of like, I'm just a downtrodden person like you. How's it go? Like what do we think about this guy kind of thing? And then that kind of be my angle I'd go for gathering information.
Yeah, the other thing is I could see your character sneaking off and going to find out in the town, like 'cause you could blend in and then find information from the townsfolk, what they think and who
Yeah.
this person is, what do they know, and then I thinking about it, I would probably put in some more stuff there where they might have a clue that they saw, an animal in town or something, or they saw a large rat or something coming into town. I don't know. I'm still just kind of thinking about
Yeah.
do. But yes, or even the possibility of amassing a blight army type of thing
Oh wow.
might be on the side there too. Because like I said, like it's a sketch right now where I would definitely like pinpoint more of like where it could possibly go.
Well, and that's kind of what we're doing though. Is just this whole process is like have an idea and see where it kind of blossoms and goes. Because I know that a lot of time, like when talking to DMs and things, when you're like you can't plan for players, you can still build a framework that's very helpful. And I think this kind of being able to see your process of building this adventure, I think is very interesting. And even just so that first idea of it's this druidic assassin, which I think is a delightful thing. Because I wasn't sure if you were going to go the angle of he's actually about to be killed at all. I was more thinking that there isn't actually a killer.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, we would have the whole town being uneasy. It's easy to go. No, he's obviously not all there.
Yeah.
I obviously put the worm tongue analog there, so you're automatically going to jump to that guy. I don't trust him because you never trust the advisor. That's always the wrong one, especially when you have an enfeebled. I purposely had that worm tongue element to it, so you would jump to that conclusion. That kind of like he seems like he's going to be doing the sneaky thing.
Yeah.
Just kind of, but not in the same way.
Again, curiosity. So if we had fixated on the advisor and the crown, completely not bothering with investigating the twig blight thing, and even assuming maybe that the twig blights were something that was created by the advisor, would it be possible for us to essentially take the advisor out and then leave the situation, or would he then be assassinated at the party?
So I probably, like, in this sense, I would probably kind of engineer it. So either you keep obsessing over him, and I don't like it. I would prefer, like, maybe he accidentally gets killed by the assassin.
I like that.
So that throws something else out. Or the other possibility is you do kill him and then just go, we've solved the problem, we're leaving. And as you're leaving, you run into the army of twig blights or the wall of thorns. They're like, okay. What? So yeah, depending on which way the assassin is doing and going. Yeah. And obviously, one of the other things I'd want to include is the possibility, is the definite threat to all the innocent people in the town, because that hooks the paladin. Yeah. And also, the more deaths I cause, the more you get to use your powers.
Yeah. Enemy dead is your friend.
Yeah. So you have that. So, I mean, those two things, like, I would want to play off of a little bit. Yeah. So, yeah. That's at least.
Yeah, no, I dig it. I like it.
I'm trying to think of some other aspects of this. So, yeah, looking at that, the event too, because there's a 3-week event, I would want definitely there to be, why is the druid waiting for this event? Obviously, you're going to go with the clues that there is a planetary alignment or something.
Ooh, okay.
So, in fact, she's just
so like the party's like a solstice kind of thing.
Yeah, so that if it takes place then some kind of power is used, that kind of thing. Or, and poison specifically, because maybe he'll become a king twig blight or something. Or king blight to help or something. Oh man. Yeah. So that would be, because I was thinking like, how do I do an event with this idea that I had? Because I was thinking more just somebody trying to kill them. Yeah. So then you have an excuse not to just instantly kill, and you're still doing it. And the 3-week thing I threw as a random number. I could easily You know,
Yeah.
on looking at it, I go a week, or maybe even, I wouldn't. I kind of like I like every once in a while doing a murder mystery ish thing,
Yep.
or is an interesting side different type of story you don't usually get in D&D.
Yeah.
But
No,
also
I
having
like
the
it.
things like the blights and stuff gives you something to fight.
Yeah,
So you can
exactly.
combat in D&D. You need to have that every once in a while. And then once the guards get possessed, then that gets really crazy. So
Oh yeah.
they have magic weapons, and then
Yeah.
so it
So
would escalate. Start with the servants.
yeah, but yeah, it being a water thing. Now, so say that we hadn't caught on, and we were drinking the water, like there was no tomorrow. Um, would we start getting poisoned?
I would
And
probably let like little things happen. You know, like you cough and like a leaf flies out. Um,
Even for me, even though I'm immune to disease, you like
I would probably like not any terminal thing, just like a and you're like what the yeah, I just coughed up
yeah,
flower petals.
oh, I
Um,
like that. I like it.
that kind of thing. Or, you know, it probably more likely with the druid where, you know, like, and that would be after a while, like probably closer
yeah.
to the event. Um,
So for the most part, this poison isn't like a fast acting thing. It's like it's
no, it's
slowly. Oh, okay.
as you drink more and more.
Okay. Oh man.
That's why the smaller creatures are affected first.
Oh,
Oh, that's terrible and
Plus, then yeah,
hilarious.
you get to have the CR increase gradually, and there's a
Yeah,
scientific reason for it. Damn it! But
I like it.
yeah,
No, and that makes sense. It's like yeah, and so the whole reason you had a bunch of little people was gnomes and halflings was because they would be affected more quickly than the taller races.
yeah. Well,
I like
plus
it.
it's always unnerving. Like if you're not playing those races when you're in an area and they don't trust you, any of the
Yeah,
races go into it. It doesn't matter what they are. If they're not openly and friendly with you, you're going to be a little bit paranoid. So I knew that would change that and make you feel a little off. If they're orcs, orcs have a definite threat to them, but smaller creatures, like grung, even if they're not your friends, you're
I
just going to
like
be like,
Gron.
I don't know what these guys are thinking of me. Aarakocra are another good example if you run into those.
Oh yeah,
They're birds, and they're gonna have wholly different customs and be weird.
yeah. I
So
also like the idea too of having the leader be so wildly different than his people. Immediately, I was just like, he's subjugating his people. We have to free them. I don't know. That was the first thing I thought, but
yeah, I have kind of a default when I run D&D where I kind of have the average. You know, the rulers tend to be human. Unless it's like an elven area or a dwarven area, then yeah, no. But
yeah,
you know, in fact, elves and dwarves tend to have their own areas, and we'll go through human areas and maybe decide to settle down. But like for the most part, yeah, it's like the vast majority of the civilized world, quote unquote, is human run. So
I think I think
yeah.
that for me anyway, like I actually discovered this, and I discovered that a lot of my main characters were human male, just because that's what I am. So my default is often to go to that. So I found that a lot of times when it comes to improving stuff, what I realized is it is good sometimes to be like, what was the last thing I made? Would it like what other thing can I do? That's why I like that in a couple of the books that I have there are like charts for the different races, and I just got recently a bunch of the NPC cards. Here we go, and they've got like people's
Oh yeah.
faces on them, and they have names, which is the best part because I never remember names. And I did notice you had a couple of them where you're like, there's a name for a person. I don't know.
of
What's this
Ferguson,
thing?
of Fergustown, of Ferguson.
Fergus Falls.
Fergus
I like
Falls.
the egomaniacal. That was just the like. That's kind of fun actually, because yeah, to have that guy just name. Yeah, that's Fergus Falls now.
Yep.
I'm in charge.
That's true.
But yeah, what the other thing? Yeah, like you said, picking those, having the names and the NPCs. It is good to change it up, but I always find like I like having a reason for an elf to be in a human city.
Yeah.
Is the elf kicked out of elven society typically, or are they
Yeah.
just looking to make the being the one that's different? They can like be like, I can make elven shade, you know, I can make a ton of money,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. You know, the half orc is obvious. I mean, obviously the half humans would make more sense.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I mean, I have it like I said, I have my own particular world, and so I tend to have like like the halfling civilization is right alongside the human civilization. So halflings are very common in human settlements, but they tend to be like I have the empire that is humanity. They are very protective of halflings because they tend to be the ones that do most of the farming, so they feed their armies. Both through choice and because they get paid for it, and because the protection, it's to pay for the protection of the empire. So
I think you make a good point. Having that good solid base makes it so that sort of imagining things in the world becomes a lot easier. If you're having to imagine what's the terrain they're in, what's the area around them like, it becomes harder to think of what's the story in this area. Whereas if last week's in Alex's, Alex, because you had that sort of that world, that framework, it was very easy to be like, oh, this is the sort of thing that you would experience sort of in that world. And I think same with yours, Jason, is because you had that sort of framework. Yeah, it was easy to pull from that.
In there, I think all those options were good. I just kind of like I don't the word paranoid always. I tend to like those in my being a little bit of paranoia in my games.
Oh yeah.
Just because I don't know. There's always something about the unknown that you have to rely on when you're running a role playing game to make it interesting. Yeah. When you don't know what the monster is, even if it just turns out to be goblins, it can still be frightening.
I've been running into that recently a lot of times, where I'll have the kids be like, "Oh, is it this thing?" And more often than not, I don't like to give a concrete, "Oh, it's this like particular monster," mostly because for some reason the kids know the monster manuals so very well. But yeah. I think in the same way, like in a horror movie, as soon as you see the monster that comes out, then that's I think where the fear sort of ends. But when you're not really sure what you're dealing with, I think you can add a lot of fun with that. And I think that would be the really fun sort of hook in this particular story arc would be, who is our friend, who is our enemy, especially when you add that paranoia of the poison being there. Where all of a sudden
possession, so anybody can run against you. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Kind of get a little bit of the thing in there, where it's literally there is something growing inside of them. It is very the thing, just to because I was kind of thinking that like it's kind of gory, but the idea that the twigs were kind of growing along the nervous system, that's what erupts out of them.
Oh yeah.
Kind of twig blight.
Now. Here's a question, because I feel like this would be the Paladin's sort of line of thought. Would we be able to, like, say someone has been fully possessed? Can we just slap them with an antitoxin or remove poison? Or once the things start growing in them, is that basically, are they done?
So they're not done, because I would have a reversal, because it's a bit more heroic to be able to reverse it. Probably using something like a remove curse would paralyze them, like it would stop the progression.
Like a remove poison?
And then it would require on you to probably make a potion or a herbal concoction
kind of thing
that could destroy it. Probably I would imagine the best way would be to make some kind of like fungal thing that would destroy the plant inside.
Oh, okay.
So we've got we'll go ahead and set up a clinic. So we've got the paladin powers of me. And then we're going to set up a free clinic because it's going to be, it's just the right thing to do. It's what everyone should be doing. And then we're going to have the druid make some sort of mushroom stew to, I don't know why I keep mentioning mushroom stew, but anyhow, we want the druid make mushroom magical medicine, and then I will do like some cool paladin magic and just be like, you are cured, just like good stuff.
Lay on hands just all over. You just keep touching everyone.
Yes, I would probably be... I'd probably just try and lay hands on everybody and make everyone uncomfortable.
That's what you always ask first. Actually, what was hilarious, I actually had an NPC the other day, because one of my groups has a NPC healer, and before he healed someone, he's like, do I have permission to touch you? And they're like, why did you make it weird? Just heal me. It's like, but I have to touch you to heal you. And it was funny because that's not something you don't really think about that. You're just like, oh, he gives you a heal. And in the past, I've definitely had healers who are a little bit of a creep when they heal. So I was like, what happens if we go the opposite direction and have someone just be like too much like, do you mind? I'm going to. This is okay.
All right, fist bump. Come on.
Yeah. Actually, that would have been the less awkward way of doing it, but he just made it super awkward.
Right.
So I guess the other question is would you want us to try and discover the things before the event? Would you try to like slap enough clues on us so that before like the solstice or whatever, we could start healing people?
So theoretically, but that would cause. So I would probably have a parallel timeline because I like doing that, where I would look at once you start healing, how desperate is the druid going to get?
Yeah.
So what is her? Yeah, can she unleash some kind of hell to try and stop you guys? Because you're going to be the threat. So now everything's coming at you guys because you're stopping it. Yeah. So that would be the bigger thing. So like, the better you do, the bigger the threat's going to get because she's going to get more.
And that'd always be difficult too because as much as my character is obviously okay with death, he doesn't want to kill people, and I'm sure the paladin very much doesn't want to kill people.
Oh, no, I would definitely say no killing, not killing this time. No.
So trying to figure out how to restrain the people who are trying desperately to kill us would be really interesting, I think.
And that's the other thing is to the more you have the NPCs, when they are possessed, you'll notice different behaviors. You'll notice that you may have liked that character, and I try to get you to like some of these characters. I mean, obviously the ones you don't like, it's going to get whoops. You know,
oh no!
I had to take the head off. It was coming at me. I hated that guy.
We'll just animate dead puppet them. It's fine. They look like they're alive still.
So for the most part, I would try and like get you in, like, especially if you were trying to infiltrate some. Halflings are great for getting you to like them because they're going to cook you cookies. They're going to make some bread. They're going to invite you to dinner even though that's the last bit of food that they had. So, and you'll be like protective of them. And so when things start happening to them, that's going to be that much more impetus to be like, oh, we got to figure this out. This is bad,
Again, just assuming that we're being just dumb players, if we split up completely and we're just by ourselves, would the assassin attempt to take us out, or would you just add the basically have her posture and be like, I could kill you right now, leave please?
So I would probably, so for the most part the assassin's already in the castle, so but does not want to be exposed because it's got to wait until that specific time. So direct attacks are not going to be an option.
Okay.
But it's going to be, it's like, say, a dog or a cat that regularly is there and not there. Like a cat, you don't notice when it's not there because it just wanders off. So for the majority of the time, she is in the woods, but then comes back into the castle as a cat and leaves as a cat. That way she doesn't run out of time and, it would be awkward. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you only got the hour.
Yeah, or it's longer than that at a higher level. But yeah.
Does it get longer at higher levels?
Yeah, depending on. I got to double check that. I might be just thinking Moon Druid. I've been dealing with a lot of Moon Druids.
It's a popular one. Let's be honest. You become a druid not to cast spells, but to be able to shapeshift.
Yeah, transform into animals.
Right.
Yeah. So So for the most part, and the other option is like turning into a cat. You can always turn into a bigger animal if you confront the cat. You're suddenly, you can just be fun and have a saber-toothed cat suddenly jump out of the closet when you were chasing the kitten, or whatever, or elephant or whatever just comes barreling out at you. There's not, so that would be kind of fun. The other thing I was thinking is like, a kitten is another one that like ups that, like, I'm not going to hurt it more than even a cat. So,
yeah, no, to be sure, which is just rude.
And it doesn't have to be the same cat every time, too. You can just think there's a whole family of cats, and it's really one person.
Yeah.
You keep seeing the mom, and then you see the kittens, but never at the same time. But you're not going to necessarily make that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Not until that's my idea.
I like it. That was and honestly, that I think would be a lot of fun to play out, because and I think for our DMs out there, so the scenario that you've essentially cooked up. Essentially, you could play that as something that happened over the course of a single session. But you could also make that into something that was like a whole month's worth of an arc. really letting people sort of dig into the different conversations, try and figure out what's going on. This definitely has a feel like it would take us some time to, especially if we can start healing the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, like I like trying to, like I said, having the thing that the paladin could lay on hands and like paralyze them maybe if it occurred, and then so that kind of like arrests whatever's going on, and then the idea that you could research and like maybe even have like maybe another, even like the letter might be not from the assassin but from a different druid trying to warn.
Oh,
That would be the possibility. And so using that, you might find a book written by that druid that had been already killed by the assassin. You find the fungal recipes and stuff to try and cure the thing. So
that would be a lot of fun too. Yeah, especially because with the heightened level of paranoia, the idea that we've already started dealing with druids, we find that sort of druidic place, and then we're trying to sneak in, and the whole time it's just it's dead. They're dead.
Yeah, and full reveal, I actually have used this druid assassin before. Ooh. I actually had a group of multiple druids, all from different places. Like I had an Arctic druid and like so on. That they were a circle of druids that would meet up every 7 years as a moot kind of thing, and they'd all get together. And so, and it turned out somebody was hunting them down and killing them, and it was an assassin. Awesome. So, yeah, and the kids had to figure out, like, what was going on. I didn't do it this way. It was a more direct, frontal thing on that one. But, yeah, but I like the idea of that druid assassin just always appealed to me. Yeah. Because I was like, oh, that would be really effective.
Yeah. And it also sounds cool. I'm a druid assassin.
Right?
Yeah. It's funny, it's not a split class assassin. It's just a druid, but a druid that likes to kill people, that kills people for the reasons that gets hired to kill them. But yes.
Really good at murder.
Yeah, like I ended up, for the one-shots, I ended up making my Blade Master is a dwarf warlock, the Celestial Patron, and the Pact of the Blade. Because with the being a dwarf, you can wear medium armor, ups your armor class to a pretty good amount. With the 3rd level warlock, you can have the one that gives you temporary hit points. You can create shadow blades. You're particularly good with whatever blade you summon. So essentially, I called it a Blade Master because it runs up and does some chops, but it's just a plain old warlock.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was a fun one. All right, I think that was. I think we're just about out of time. Like I said, next week we're going to be talking about the different sort of puzzles and things. We're pretty puzzle heavy in our one shots, so we'll get to talk about some of the puzzles we've come up with, which I'm very excited for because I've heard bits and pieces of both your guys' rooms, but it'd be really fun to do sort of a deep dive, sort of room by room. Especially because I know that there's going to be rooms that no one's gotten to, so it'll be fun to get to hear about those.
Oh my goodness! There are definitely some rooms that some kids have not gotten to.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite rooms. I shouldn't have put it as far back in the dungeon because I'm like, none of them are getting to it. Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I feel the same. I feel the same. There's some puzzles that I'm like, dude, this is so cool, and they're not getting through it. I'm like, oh, whoops.
Yeah. I made. I ended up coming up with about 7 rooms, I think, for them to get through, and I think so far they've been getting through about 3. So.
Yeah.
Although I do have combat in both of them, or in 2 of the 3 rooms. That slows things down a lot. So
very little combat. So they go through a lot more rooms than mine, but when the combat does happen, it definitely eats up all the time.
Oh yeah. So, alrighty. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. It was fun as always. We will see everyone back here again at 6:30 on the Facebooks and the Twitch. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.